Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We extend a hearty welcome to each and every one of you to the session, The Renewables Revolution Powering a Better Tomorrow, as a part of the esteemed Global Investors Meet. We are thrilled to have you join us as we delve into one of the most crucial and transformative discussions of our time. It's with great pleasure and honor that we would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Lakhani IAS, Chairman and Managing Director, Tangetco, to deliver the opening remarks. We have a power-packed panel with representatives from the Government of Tamil Nadu and heads of leading OEMs and energy developers. Please join me in welcoming our speakers. And first, I would like to introduce Mr. Vishal Mehta, MD and Partner BCG, moderator of the session. Vishal Mehta is a co-member of the Strategy and Operation Practices at Boston Consulting Group. He leads the energy practice in India and BCG's work on power and utilities in India and power generation operations work in Asia Pacific. He also leads the firm's India Climate and Sustainability team. I would like to welcome Mr. Vishal Mehta, MD and Partner BCG, moderator of the session, onto the stage. Please welcome, sir. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. Rajesh Lakhani, IAS, CMD Tangetco. Rajesh Lakhani is a 1992 batch front-runner IAS officer with an MTech from IIT Delhi, a seasoned bureaucrat who has held many key positions in the state, chief among them being as Collector of Theni, Kanyakumari, Peramballur, etc., MD of Tamil Nadu Tourism and Metro Water, Commissioner of Chennai Corporation and Chief Electoral Officer of Tamil Nadu, for which he won the Prime Minister Award for Administrative Excellence. He currently holds the position of Additional Chief Secretary, Chairman cum Managing Director, Tangetco, TNAD Limited and Chairman, TAN Transco, and has been a pivotal role in driving the state's transition to renewable energy sources. I would like to welcome Mr. Rajesh Lakhani, IAS, CMD, Tangetco, onto the stage. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. Girish Tanti, Vice Chairman, Sisland Group. Over the past years, he has played many roles, including incubating the renewable energy business in 1995, established technology development centers in Europe and India, setting up the global supply chain, developing wind markets across India, establishing global business operations and corporate development activities. I would like to invite Mr. Girish Tanti, Vice Chairman, Sisland Group, onto the stage. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. Peter Janek, Associate Partner, Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners. Mr. Peter Janek is an Associate Partner in CIP and has many years of top management experience in the energy sector, as well as experience in M&A, project delivery and financing, asset and fund management. I would like to welcome Mr. Peter Janek, Associate Partner, Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, onto the stage. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. RPV Prasad, CEO, Envision India. RPV Prasad is heading Envision India and responsible for India business P&L performance-driven professional with 30 years of rich experience in the power and shipping sectors, out of which 22 years with renewable energy in different business units of project management, business development, operation and maintenance, techno-commercial and manufacturing, etc. I would like to invite Mr. RPV Prasad, CEO, Envision India, onto the stage. It's with great pleasure and honor that we would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Lakhani, IAS, Chairman and Managing Director, Tangetco, to deliver the opening remarks. Use Mr. Rajiv Karthikeyan, Founder and MD, Leap Green Energy. As the founder and managing director of both Leap Green Energy and Leap India Food and Logistics, Mr. Rajiv Karthikeyan has demonstrated exceptional leadership in the renewable energy and logistics sectors. Under his guidance, Leap Green Energy has achieved an impressive operating capacity of nearly 1 gigawatt, solidifying his commitment to advancing clean and sustainable energy solution. I would like to welcome Mr. Rajiv Karthikeyan, founder and MD, Leap Green Energy, onto this stage. It's with great pleasure and honor that we would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Lakhani, IAS, Chairman and Managing Director, Tangetco, to deliver the opening remarks.
Finally, I get a chance to speak on mic. So, dignitaries of the dais and all delegates to this conference, I'll just be very brief. I don't want to go into figures myself, so I'll just play a video, 1 minute, which will tell us about the history of Tamil Nadu and renewable. Can you please play the video, please?
Tamil Nadu has been at the forefront of India's renewable energy transformation, presently firming its third position with 14.2% installed capacity. Tamil Nadu is the only state from Asian countries to feature in the top 10 renewable energy market, holding the ninth position in the world with reference to its installed capacity of renewable energy. Tamil Nadu has long been a dominant leader in wind energy, holding the second position and accounting for 24% of India's installed wind capacity. The state takes pride in having installed India's first solar photovoltaic farm and also encompasses the largest solar photovoltaic installation in a single location, while holding the fourth position in solar energy with 10.1% of the nation's total installed capacity. Tamil Nadu is now reshaping the nation's energy sector by adeptly exploring large-scale hybrid green energy storage models in which pumped storage plants (PSPs) will be used to store green energy during the peak generation seasons and use it during lean periods, thereby ensuring incessant renewable energy supply. Tamil Nadu has established the nation's first pumped storage project of 400 megawatts in Kadamparai and has proposed 15 projects with a total capacity of 14,500 megawatts with an investment of Rs 71,900 crores. Tamil Nadu is now all set to regain its numero uno position in the wind energy sector in the country by leveraging various sector-specific initiatives, including its wind repowering policy with huge investment potential. Further to its advantageous topographical location and infrastructure facilities, Tamil Nadu boasts of the best sites for offshore wind energy generation, especially in Tuticorin and Rameswaram. With meticulous measures being initiated, the offshore wind energy initiatives are proving to be the game changer in Tamil Nadu. With an unwavering commitment to a sustainable and low-carbon future, the state government is playing the significant role in facilitating the transition of the Indian economy towards clean energy sources, with Tamil Nadu firming its position as the global green energy hub.
So this is a history. We are not even talking about competition within India. We are talking about competition with other countries. We are a small state, but we are talking about competition. This is what about the history. Now I'll just take 2-3 minutes to talk about, because we are as good as what we do next, not what we have done so far. So I'll just present. First slide, please. Now the first tagline for us is the destination for green manufacturing is going to be Tamil Nadu. Why? I'll just come into the next slide, please. This is not my slide. This is PCG's thing. I think Vishal Mehta will vouch for it. They have done this graph. I just cut and pasted from their presentation. What it says is that I think in this conference and this gym, you will hear 3 words from us as well as other people. One is $1 trillion economy by 2030. Then other 2 words which I am going, 3 words which I am going to talk about is 50 gigawatt. I think you don't have to worry about anything. 100 billion units of energy. And third word is green. So all these 2 numbers are going to be green. That's what I'm going to talk about. Now this is what, if we have to go to $1 trillion economy, that is what our energy requirement. From 1,20,000 of present MU consumption per annum, we are going to go 2,35,000. That's not important. But where from it is coming is extremely important. 100 billion unit per annum. Please understand, 100,000 million unit of energy is going to come from green sources. We all will add up to, I think 50, because the 50 is important word, $50 billion investment. I think the PSPs we identified 15 sites and we are going to really soon call for bids. I think that is the highest, 14.5 gigawatt, highest number of sites in any other states. Then about this, that other source of power is going to be offshore wind, then repowering, and then we are talking about hydrogen, and then I think this one thing I think which I have not been, no one is talking about is Tamil Nadu is the only state with highest open access captive users. So I think most of the industries is using open access to run their industries. What is open access means? If you put a windmill or a solar plant, your power cost is hedged for 25 years. You don't have to really worry about Tangentco or utilities tariff things. Your power cost is fixed for 25 years permanently. So this all sums up to another 50 US billion dollars. So I'm saying 50, 100, I'm making the numbers very small. So opportunity for investment is, I think you can add up, I think it's not great mathematics, you'll add up, it'll add to US $50 billion. Next.
A round of applause for Mr. Rajesh Lakhani IAS, Chairman and Managing Director, Tangentco, graced us with his insightful and uplifting opening remarks. And now the panel discussion is going to start. Over to you, sir.
CMC sir, thank you for those opening remarks. I don't have to make them, so that's a little bit of effort saved from my side. But just little bit of nuance to be added. I think all the numbers that you saw on the slides are presented were actually for consumption in Tamil Nadu. And of course, as we all know, a lot of capacity is getting created in Tamil Nadu also for export from Tamil Nadu to other states and other parts of the country. So actually, if you take that into consideration, then the requirement to create projects, infrastructure in the state is much more than that. Second is, we always talk about this 500 gigawatt number at the national level. If you translate that into Tamil Nadu, the number that we just arrived at is actually much higher than that, right? So even if you do 500 gigawatt at a country level, you will still not meet those numbers. So actually the requirement and the potential is even higher than that. The third, what I call the joker in the pack, is I think for the first time, this country has the opportunity to be a net energy exporter, which is in the form of hydrogen, ammonia. And again, these numbers do not account for all the capacity which will get created for hydrogen generation or ammonia exports, which are likely to happen from this, right? So I think the headline message, as sir said, is the potential is huge. And it's not just potential, it's actually a requirement, underlying requirement to be able to power the economy and the aspiration which has been set, right? I think I would like to use the dignitaries on the panel and their views and thoughts to say, how do we get this done, right? I mean, rather than, okay, so the aspiration has been set. I don't think there is any question on the underlying vision, demand, etc. But all of you are experienced working in this country, in this state, in your industries. I think I would just like to go around the table and get your perspectives on how do we get this done? What are the top 2-3 things which will come in the way, and how do we solve for that, right? So if I take that as the underlying question, and I'll just go, from the left side of the room, Peter, just coming to you. I mean, you invested a lot of money in the country, but what would you like to see more happening?
Sure. I think maybe to start somewhere else, I think there is a lot to celebrate, and I think that is important. India we see it as the third largest renewable energy market in the world, and Tamil Nadu is very, very large within that. And I think there is a lot to celebrate. So anything I say in terms of what needs to improve needs to be seen in that light. But I think when we look at it as investors coming into the Indian market and with the expectation of over the coming decade deploying billions of dollars into this sector, some of the challenges we see is the complexity of the regulation between sort of the federal, the Indian level, and the state-by-state level. The difference in implementation of initiatives, so the way policies are implemented in one state versus another state, grids at state versus national level, it creates a complexity that is relatively difficult for an investor to deal with, and I think will become more difficult to deal with as India's renewable energy will be predominantly generated in the southern and western states of India, and it will be used all over India. So some of those things I think play into it. I think one of the things we are seeing is that given the number of developers and project owners looking for capital, we have a sense that there's probably a little bit of capital shortage. And I think as you rightly said, Honourable Minister, it is a requirement to build the power generation capacity to drive towards that $1 trillion economy. It cannot happen if you don't install the power generation capacity. It's impossible. And I think some of those complexities, some of those sort of regulatory difficulties, clearing them up, I think would make make the pace of actual build out higher. Because I think when we look at the sort of 500 gigawatt target, certainly at a national level, the current pace is not aiming to meet it. Well, the ambition is there, but the pace really needs to increase dramatically for that goal to be met. I haven't done the numbers specifically for Tamil Nadu, so I don't know whether that's the case here as well. But I think those are some of the things. And finally, I'd say sort of a very specific thing is probably a move towards more parallel permitting rather than sequential permitting. We see very often that sort of one permit needs to be had after another. So you do land, then you do one type of permit, then another type of permit, and then at the end you need a third degree or airport clearance permit. And that sort of sequential nature of it really delays project development. And it makes it more difficult when it differs state by state. So those are some of the things I'll probably mention in terms of what we see as the key challenges to realizing the ambition.
Sandeep, maybe also double click a little bit on the specific constraints on the ground that you see.
Yeah. No, thank you, Vishal. I think I resonate with what Peter is saying, and I would like to begin by first congratulating Tamil Nadu. I think while at top numbers, if you see, Tamil Nadu contributes to about 5% of the emissions at a national level, but we contribute close to about 14% of renewable energy. So I think first a big round of applause. Yeah? It's a kind of a fantastic things, and I think it is a state which has been the pioneer in renewable energy. I think the journey here, even for Suzlon, started almost 3 decades back, and it has led the way for the rest of the country. So I think there's more to celebrate from that point of view. And it's heartening to know that the vision is set very clearly. I think that's the first step towards getting where we want to get to. I think now if we look, and I'll focus more on just Tamil Nadu specific, I think if we look at the next steps, we need to then first and foremost convert that 50 gigawatts into an annual plan. So we'll really need to get to that planning process of, because these are very big numbers for us to grow in such a short time. And for that, then the next thing comes is really having a very clear, detailed, and holistic policy for all those domains which Sir showed us how the 50 gigs is going to come, in terms of having a very comprehensive renewable energy policy to cover all elements of whatever we want to achieve. And it needs to be up to 2030 so that there is a clear path to achieving that 50 gigawatts, what we are looking to, and cover all the domains that is there. The next level is on the implementation side, and I think there are 2 legs to that. One is that, again, just taking from cue from what Peter said, I think the whole permitting process, I think we need to take stock of how much time does it take today, how can we speed up, how can we kind of club some of those things and make it quick so that we can crunch the time, because otherwise the biggest challenge for achieving this huge goal is not going to be technology, it's not going to be manufacturing, it's actually getting the projects on ground. And I think that's the biggest element where I think government can support in a big way to make sure that that volume buildup is happening and the permitting process and all issues around land and other things are sorted out, made it as easy as possible for all of us. And the last leg is, of course, the direct role that the state has to play in developing the green infrastructure in terms of the grid. How can we need to work back all those numbers to see that by what time, what kind of grid infrastructure at which locations we need to have ready. Ecosystem of MSME and sub-suppliers of products and services. And I think they are capable of not just supplying to Tamil Nadu, not just for India, but they can export. So I think that's another huge opportunity, just like there is that huge opportunity for Tamil Nadu to supply electricity, green energy to rest of the states. There is huge opportunity for our manufacturing setup and services setup to export our services. So I think all these are layers going to add on to our 1 trillion economy. And I think now it's really getting into the grassroots implementation part.
So I'll come back to you last after this round. But Rajiv, slightly different nuance to the same question on how to get this done. Is you made a big capital allocation as a group to this business, right? I mean, the group started with a different thing. What made you do that? Firstly, what opportunity did you see? And secondly, has it really materialized the way you thought about it? Has it been faster, slower? And what can be done more? And linking back to the same underlying question, but just kind of bringing your journey into this, yeah.
So yes, we are basically probably the largest homegrown IPP from Tamil Nadu. And our journey in wind energy has been there for more than 25 years. So basically, one point which I would like to say here is the Tamil Nadu economy, specifically most of the industries, the medium scale industries and small scale industries, their competitive advantage actually comes from renewable power. We are one of the most entrepreneurial friendly wind power policies we have in the country. In fact, Tangentco, even in the 1980s, promoted wind power. We were one of the first states to promote captive power. And captive power, specifically from renewable energy, has made manufacturing competitive in this state. So long before other states in India got onto the bandwagon of green energy, Tamil Nadu was actually a leading renewable energy producer. Even by 2010, we had close to 8 gigawatts of installed capacity, while the rest of India put together had less than 8 gigawatts. So Tamil Nadu has a very, very rich legacy. So if you ask us specifically how we allocated capital to this state, to this industry, specifically it was a need for manufacturing. So if you take industries in Tamil Nadu, even though we are one of the most industrialized states in India, we don't have too much of raw materials. Most of our raw materials comes from north. Most of the market is either north or exports. But one thing we have is a lot of renewable energy. And a manufacturing company clubbed with its own captive wind or solar power plant makes the entire manufacturing costs very, very competitive. And globally, it also sort of ticks into the decarbonization theme that people are looking at. So, like what Rajesh Lakhani sir just mentioned, Tamil Nadu has the largest open access capacity in the country. And I would like to add to one point that this open access makes Tamil Nadu industry highly competitive. This is the only way we can compete with countries like Bangladesh or China, where they might have some other subsidies which our country does not. And like what he said, power cost is very important for industry. This is the only way we can hedge our power costs in the long term.
You may have the open access and captive power policy from a cost hedge perspective, but what it has led to is it's probably one of the most attractive destinations in the world if you want to decarbonize your scope 3. So if Tamil Nadu is part of your supply chain, of part of global supply chains, it gives you actually a fairly low cost lever to decarbonize supply chain. Right? So I think as you're looking to build a more export-oriented economy, I mean, a large part of that $1 trillion will obviously come from exports. I think this is actually a key lever to sell to the world. One is competitiveness for yourself and the industry, but more also that it solves. It actually probably, maybe don't hold me to it, but it's probably one of the lowest cost ways of decarbonizing scope 3 as they call it, right? Yeah.
And if most of the European countries
are
introducing the carbon tax. So the carbon tax is now going to become a reality in Europe, which basically means when you start exporting manufactured stuff from India, they will start looking at how much fossil fuel went in. And the most competitive way for industries to become carbon tax friendly or decarbonize their products is through renewable power. And captive power, friendly open access makes this the best state to do manufacturing.
So just coming to you, I think maybe if you can also elaborate a little bit what Mr. Tanti said in terms of the manufacturer's readiness to be able to deliver on this target, right? Secondly, I always feel good coming to this state because I hear a lot of wind and I don't hear only solar, which is what you get to hear most of the other places. I personally feel it's, equally, if not more important for the mix and for the overall reliability of the grid that you have, wind as well as solar, right? So maybe if you can, in the spirit of the question, what needs to be unlocked, but also, straight call out to you, are the manufacturers ready to kind of...
Yeah, good evening to all of you. First of all, just echo with all the dignitaries mentioned here. And a few I want to add upon that about Tamil Nadu. In fact, Rajesh Lekani sir mentioned everyone must come to the Tamil Nadu. But in fact, I will say everyone, all OEMs already, started from Tamil Nadu. That's what majority of the OEMs started from Tamil Nadu. Not only that, lot of in this room, maybe majority of renewable professionals, I think, they started their career from the Tamil Nadu. I think that is a great will go to the Tamil Nadu. In fact, I started my journey in renewables 95, again from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so that is really that credit goes to Tamil Nadu on this. And one more thing, I think Tamil Nadu is the first state. Single window system, I think they had started in the entire country, first time I think, because as per my understanding, because if you see other states, a lot of different windows, we have to go to the approvals for the different areas and different. I think Tamil Nadu one, I think we can get the only single window system, no need to go to the door to door and get all the approvals. I think this is one of the big applaud to the Tamil Nadu state, still they are doing that. And coming to just your question on manufacturing, see, Tamil Nadu, no doubt, it's a most friendly state and easy business for any investor. What exactly need? Actually, they want the good policy, strong, robust. One is robust infrastructure is required, and second is policy, strong policies support required, and third is skill. Already today morning in the conference, start from the Honorable Ministers mentioned that. So any investor to start the business in any state, so of course in the business we'll calculate a lot of the what is the profit and everything, margins. Those are the byproduct actually. If all these three are there, good infrastructure and strong policy support, and third is skilled manpower is available. These three definitely with Tamil Nadu is all three are having. So with this, definitely Tamil Nadu is one of the best state to start the investment. So with that, definitely Tamil Nadu can become of course they are leading, they are going to be continue lead to the renewable market for this. Thank you.
Just taking off from what you just said, maybe coming back to Mr. Tanti, I just want to challenge this a little bit because, let's go out of Tamil Nadu a bit and let's say national level 50 gigawatt a year is what you need roughly on a run rate basis. If you see the projected mix, it needs to be about 10, 12 gigawatt of wind and about 30, 40 of solar, right? That's the broad mix, And I mean, we've not delivered that much solar also, but at the same time, we've not delivered that much wind for a very long period of time. So what stops us from being able to do 10, 12 gigawatt a year? Because I don't think without doing 10, 12 of wind, you can actually do the remaining 30, 40 of solar.
I agree. Yeah, I think the restriction again for scale up of manufacturing is not an issue. I think the industry is ready and capable of going to that size. The major limitation for achieving those numbers is again going to be on-ground execution of projects. And that's the main limitation factor, which is going to, put a dampener on the actual numbers that we achieve. Purely on manufacturing, if we see, I think today with the kind of, if I talk about wind, I think with the kind of sizes of turbines that we all manufacture, and we continue to kind of enhance them as larger turbines come and grow it. Tamil Nadu is somewhere where our first facility we had put up in the mid-90s. So, we've been here for a very long time. And I think amongst, when I compare and I resonate with my other colleagues, that, I think purely from a manufacturing location point of view, I think Tamil Nadu is a great place to have a facility. But then, the challenges come around logistics as the products become very large and other things. So depending upon, and that's again going back to my earlier response to the first question, if the state is able to put on paper a very clear plan for the next 7 years of how we are going to make the 50 gigawatts a reality, what are the challenges and how we are going to make it happen, with that clarity, then, all sorts of investment plans, whether it's, for the project owners or for manufacturers, we all can also plan for next 5-7 years and put those investments with clarity. So I think that clarity needs to come, and I think if we give that as soon as possible, then that speed up will automatically happen. 1 month cycle. So if I have a business visibility, we can do that. It should not be a problem.
Exactly. Just I want to just add upon what Grish Tanti sir mentioned. See, manufacturing is not the issue at all, because definitely as of today, I think 15 gigawatts is there in the capacity in the wind. 15 gigawatts is there. So as he mentioned, see, we have a continuous visibility is there. Definitely existing OEMs can able to ramp up there. For example, our own, we have started with 2 gigawatt. Now our facilities can be 3 gigawatt. Maybe if it is anything there, we can able to increase the capacity. And answer to one more question on the, of course, 50 gigawatt. Out of that, what I understand is 10 is only for wind and 40 is hybrid. That's what, as per the policy, is mentioned. See, just I'm giving some numbers actually, because of the ours is calendar year. Just we are going through the numbers without mentioning the this one. Just surprisingly, last year, confirm orders is around 7.5 gigawatts orders placed by all the IPPs. It's really big achievement. 7.5 gigawatts orders are placed, because I'm just seeing the numbers. So with that, but one more challenge is how these 7.5 gigawatt going to be executed. That is actually really, just as mentioned, it's a big question mark. And really someone has to be think all stakeholders together execute that, and going to be new orders also going to be there. But those to be ordered to be executed, that is we have to be real challenge. That is all the administrative, local administrative has to be come to the forward and to support the all the execution that we have to think about.
Just summarizing, and maybe not simplifying, but summarizing, I think the demand signal is there. The supply chain has ramped up, can ramp up. I think what I call the middleware, which is basically being able to execute, and for that you need more certainty on rules, regulations, permitting, and a more detailed micro level targeting and plan. That's, I'm assuming the capital will also come if this is in place, right? But let me just go, I don't know if you noticed in the presentation, I picked a few interesting things. I think even after doing all of this, there were 3 or 4 other things that were part of the plan, right? One was, I saw a lot of pumped storage. I also saw offshore wind in that. And I think even after that, there is a need to be importing power from outside, right? So I think if you can just talk a little bit more about these 2-3 other aspects which were there in the presentation that you showed, and like what's the requirement and what do we need to do for that? Right?
From a user perspective, I can say that of course I'll talk about pump storage. I'll take 1 minute because other pump storage, I think we were pioneer because we started with Kadamparai, but it was only 400 megawatt. Now we are doing another at Kunda. But we identified 15 sites. And one decision government has taken is that all of this are going to be done on PPP mode. I think 10 days before some government order and principal clearance has been issued. So we are going to go for bidding immediately, and it is around 80,000 crores, so maybe or $10 billion investment. Now the advantage is we are not, as Mr. Tanti said, we are not talking about just random sites. These sites we have done pre-feasibility studies, and we found that this site pump storage of that capacity is feasible. We have got basic reports available. So with that we are going to go for bidding. That is one issue. The second thing is, as you rightly said, because if you have to grow to $1 trillion economy, the energy is going to become a major thing. And we have to generate, because we have to import energy as well. Presently, we are exporting a lot of energies to the western part of India and even northern India. but we'll ultimately become net consumers, so we'll have to import a lot of energy. So, of course, transmission line is an issue. But more than the transmission lines, we are talking about import and offshore, because if offshore is just available next shore, then we can generate. So we are now working on mechanism, because Mr. Tanti said that we had to do a micro plan. So I am very happy to announce on this conference itself, so far we have signed MOUs for 18.5 gigawatts, 18.426 gigawatt to be very particular. So I think after 50 gigawatt I think 18.5 has come in this gym alone, and I don't know further gyms are going to come, and then we are going to get the numbers. Now the challenge, as he said, is in translation of this into the field and on the ground. One thing which we are working, which is very important we are trying to, on all policies, we are trying to remove the discretion. We are making it strictly automatic, online mode. I think there may be some challenges here and there, but we are working towards that goal so that the process becomes very automatic, so you don't have to run around. Thank you.
I'll come back to you and Mr. Tanti on offshore. I just want your view on viability of offshore wind for India, especially since you would have invested in offshore projects across the world.
Sure. I think we're one of the most experienced developers of offshore wind. We're delivering offshore wind power currently in the US and Taiwan, and we're building in South Korea, in addition to what obviously we're doing in Europe. So I think there's very few people out there who've done more offshore wind in new markets than us. It can definitely work, right? In terms of the technical viability, it's doable. I think the question we struggle with, having looked at this quite a bit over the last 6 years, is we're not really sure why it's needed. We think that there is very significant onshore potential. We also think that the nearshore potential, which is a different technology, is probably more attractive. So we're not sure why it's needed. And we do think no matter what happens, the price of offshore wind, as far as we can see, maybe there are other people that are smarter than us, will be at a substantial premium to onshore and nearshore wind. And we're therefore not sure who's going to pay for it. Those are sort of the two fundamental questions that we struggle with. We're very interested in it. We would love to do it. We've had meetings with lots of stakeholders over the last 6 years, and we will happily engage. But we do think that probably in this sort of renewable energy spectrum, there might be other technologies that are better suited to deliver on sort of the needs that India has, and probably also Tamil Nadu. But we are very interested in it, so that's sort of how I would characterize it.
Tanti, your views on offshore?
Yeah, I think I resonate with what Peter has just mentioned. I think let's just to put the international context into India context, if we were to look at, I think today, renewable energy has become at the forefront of the energy transition for our country, primarily because of the cost of electricity that we can produce from renewable energy. It has become the cheapest source for us to make so it's while it is important from an environment point of view, it makes pure economics, and that's the reason India is going in a big way. Now the moment you talk offshore, and if we look at even the international, some of the countries which have gone offshore, primarily they have gone for two reasons. One is that they are landlocked countries, they have very limited onshore potential, and therefore they have had to move to offshore. And second is that the economic viability of going offshore makes sense because of the higher wind potential versus the additional cost that comes into play. It still becomes expensive than onshore, but it still starts making sense because you can do larger projects there. When we come specifically to say Tamil Nadu, I think we are blessed with this beautiful coastline that we have, and offshore will definitely over time start making land available. There are challenges, but there is a possibility. And with the technology upgradations and the new technology innovations that we are doing, we are able to capture even the low wind sites as we go along on that ground. So this potential which is First of all, when we have 90% onshore, which is proven, known, viable, cost is economic, we need to harness that first. We can't afford a costly resource. And second disadvantage India has is that the delta between onshore and offshore in terms of wind potential, with whatever limited measurements and next wave of growth beyond 2030, we can look at it. But the immediate projects which we have right now, I think there is enough 90% onshore potential is still there. Let's leverage that. And another very important Tamil Nadu has as a benefit is repowering. Some of the early sites which we have, excellent sites, I think almost 6-7 gigawatts of repowering we can very quickly do, which will unlock huge potential for us. So I think sir was just talking to us earlier with the kind of work that they are currently doing to get the repowering, be the leader in repowering in the country also. I think if we can do those kind of things, we can really add bigger gigawatts quickly and more cost efficiently than going offshore. So while I am pro offshore, but for, as he said, why when you try to answer, I think at this point in time, for a country like India, it doesn't make sense, according to me. Maybe wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, I echo with you. Exactly, just I want to give some brief. As per the study done by the both Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, as per data offshore, this resource is not really that much great compared to European. Resource is, hardly, as per my understanding, 9.5 to 10 meters per second. If you see in onshore, we have a 7.5 meters is there. So that is a delta is, as rightly mentioned, delta is very, very less. So, but if you compare with the economics, cost of increase, I think 2 or 2.5 times, and but whether really you are getting that much output. So, if you comparing that, I don't think it's not immediate future. Of course, it's offshore. Definitely, you have to go, but not immediate future. But as he mentioned, repowering is one of the immediate quick addition on the capacity addition.
There, just to add from a pure economics point of view, on very high level numbers that we have worked out, I think anywhere in today's circumstances, if we go offshore today, it will be at least about 2.5 to 3x as a cost. Means today if you are able to produce at 3 rupees, you go offshore, it will not be under 8 rupees. So why should we go for something costly like that? So that's the current economics. Another, I think, also from the international today, if we see, and I think Peter would have more to add to that, I think the world is also reconsidering offshore. They are taking a little breather with the kind of situations that have happened, and we have seen some of the bids go where no bidders have bid also. And I think there are cost increases which are coming in, project delays which are coming in. So I think even the biggest developers are recalibrating their offshore strategies. So we need to be mindful of that. And there are also technology maturity curve which comes into play. I think we have to be careful with that also.
Can I just add one quick thing? Is that okay? I just tie a knot to what you said about the supply chain being ready to respond, because I think that that's another aspect, right? I am very confident that delivering the capacities we've been talking about onshore is not an issue, not at all. I'm very certain that doing it for offshore before 2030 is just not going to happen. The reason I'm saying that is that if any sensible OEM had stepped in 2018 when the first tenders were coming up or proposed to come up and actually start building blade factories and cell factories, foundation manufacturing and all of that, everybody would have burned they would have been totally burned by it. Today, I don't know that any OEM or any supply chain is really working seriously on setting that up, and it takes years. What we've seen in other markets is that the PPA prices that are offered by the government basically need to subsidize the developers paying the OEMs to do it. And that needs to happen over several years and several considered project finance outside of India, and that there's limited recourse. These are projects where most of the capex inherently will not be in rupee based to begin with. So they'll need to be dollar financed. And I think the question is whether a fixed rupee tariff that's not inflation adjusted can support that at all. Alternatively, it has to be rupee finance.
Magazines and installations. There are like 14 megawatt platforms, right? Very, very large ones. And onshore, I think Indian manufacturers, the best we have is 3 or 3.2. So you think that will make any change going forward with the very large platforms of 14 and 15 megawatts?
See, I think as Peter was mentioning, it's a journey, and there is a curve of market maturity and all players associated, both on government and private side and the financing side. And I think we have seen globally also, each country has taken time to reach there. It doesn't just happen like that. And I think purely from a capability for the OEMs, if we had to tomorrow say, if you tell me that in 24 months I need a 5 megawatt or a 10 megawatt, we know how to make it. It's not that we don't know. Is there a market? Yeah. So I don't think it's about just the size. I think it's really to be able to execute and get it done on ground and have the ability to basically scale up the market of that nature. And I think as we are getting more visibility, like today with the national policy, with the bidding calendar coming out, I mean the investment plans for all OEMs have enhanced, yeah? And everybody is looking at putting up larger turbines next. So I think the more, and that's what I was saying, sir, also, that the more we can give visibility to Tamil Nadu on really how we are going to happen, you will see larger technologies will also come. Because for all that, there is an R&D cost, there is the whole cycle which has to go through. So purely from a capability, I don't think we have a problem. It's just that the market has to mature. And as he said, financials have to get comfortable with that. And also let's remember today, even the top OEMs in the world are all taking breather as far as size is concerned. You have read about it. So let's just not rush into things and then, again having to step back. So I think it's good that we have that ability for scale up. We need to learn from the global shortcomings and do it smartly so that we at least don't make the same mistakes that global guys have been doing, yeah? We'll make our new mistakes, but...
Actually, turbine point of view, see, as you mentioned, technology available, existing is already available. For example, Envision, we already have a 14 megawatt platform is available. We are working on 16 megawatt. But as you rightly mentioned, we have to see what are the challenges we have to be there. For example, in offshore, logistics is going to be bigger challenge. All existing blade plants cannot produce the blades because not that they can produce. How those blades can be shipped from that plants to the offshore. So we have to build the plants near to the shore only. There only we have to build the entire manufacturing because the sizes are going to be huge. So that is a different overall business. So it will be different challenges will open.
Just mindful of time. It seems like after cricket, movies, offshore is the topic to debate most. But I'm just being mindful of that. Yeah.
Point, because I think it looks very depressing that offshore there are so many challenges. One advantage of offshore I'd like to talk so that we end on positive note. I think who is working in electricity market, again RTC from June to January. So it's 7 months of RTC power means I can shut down my coal plants and just run the grid only on offshore wind. So that's a great advantage of offshore, which is not there available anywhere in the world because it is maybe happening wind behavior is that because of Sri Lanka landmass or tunneling effect is happening. I don't know why it is happening. So that is an advantage. Of course, we have challenges to meet, but unless we meet the challenges, we can't grow. Thank you.
So I'm not going to take more time in closing this out. I think as you started, you closed out the same way on a positive note for everyone. So thanks everyone for you.
Thank you.
With the permission of the moderator, the floor is now open for question and answer. We kindly request you to state your name and organization before proceeding with the question or comment.
So my name is Ranjit Nair from Enora Ventures. So just as Mr. Tanti was telling about the Tamil Nadu wind bidding, So is there a plan to bring out any bidding for the state itself other than the SECI bidding which is happening?
We are talking, but you're talking about whether we are willing to purchase and come out with wind bids. In the sense, we are willing to purchase whatever you're doing it through TNERC determined tariff, of course, or maybe nationally discovered tariff, whichever is low. That is what we've been talking about. So we are not going for a specific bidding model, but what we want is perhaps you have to do an open access is what we are offering. I think the biggest advantage is we are offering open access. So whatever you want to build, please build it and do the market thing, and so that you can sell it to all the consumers here and make profits.
So actually, maybe your question may be go back to FIT.
Maybe FIT, but feed-in tariffs which were there from Tamil Nadu since long. But even Tamil Nadu had their own biddings, for the state itself. It was bid here and the connection was to the state, the substations.
I'll
So that
request you
has
to
stopped.
wait for repowering policy to get released. It's not coming in this gym, but it will come shortly. Once it comes, it has all those components we are talking. I can't reveal it before the policy comes, but we are working on those
Thank you so
directions
much,
as well.
sir. Thank you.
Sir, on the same point, what he's saying, one more request. In Gujarat, we've just also had possibility to come out with up to 50 megawatts of feed-in tariffs again for the small and medium investors. I think if we can come out with that for the micro industry development, up to 50 megawatts if we can come, and we can have a system of, today now I think the tariffs have stabilized in a way that if you give those even 2 years visibility, then at least the small investors can start 50 megawatt projects, sir.
FIT is something which need to be reconsidered, because it has been because of this bidding and utility scale models. I think the FIT took second thing. I think this now for involving everyone in renewable, I think even small companies will have to bring in some form of FIT. We are bringing it in solar, and we'll definitely be bringing in some form in wind as well.
Hi all, I'm Samir Guduru from the US India Business Council. I think my question is probably a natural corollary to the discussion that you had. How critical is it as far as grid level energy storage is concerned, and the role of critical minerals both for renewables as well as for battery storage?
I'll take this question. See, of course, as a right point you asked, of course, storage is going to be as a game changer. Of course, now the challenge is the cost. Otherwise, this is going to be stabilize the grid, because now harmonics, lot of challenges are there. In India, is nearly not that much. I'm not telling, of course, we have a stable grid codes and everything is there. Compared to our European, they are very much stringent on the grid stability. So for that, storage is one of the thing, it can be fill that gap.
With the problem with battery storage is long-term visibility of the cost. For example, PSP is an advantage because my visibility of cost is for 40 years per unit basis. Battery, every 5 years I had to replace, 5 to 7 years. So long-term visibility is not there. So any utility who is going for, or any grid who want to use battery or for stabilizing the green power will like to have long-term visibility of the cost. So unless those certainties come into picture, I think we'll still be going for PSPs.
Just to add a little bit more, I think while global strength happens on solar and the prices come to an acceptable level, the middle solution or middle path that India is kind of going towards a little bit, as I'm seeing in most of the projects now, is that with the combination of hybrid projects, wind and solar together, you are getting good PLFs to go towards. And with states like Tamil Nadu, where you have double wind benefits, you are further able to enhance the plant load factor on that ground. And with the possibility now to trade in the national grid also, if you design your projects well, you could actually use also your national trading as one form of storage and do it in a much smarter way today in India. Until we get the pricing of critical minerals to a level that it starts making sense. So India has found its own way of managing storage at this point in time. And I think that's most likely to be for the next 5-7 years, while but definitely grid level storage systems will come into play and those will grow.
I just wanted to maybe say that from an international perspective, looking at this in various different markets, I actually think India is towards the forefront of having quite smart tendering that lets the market solve exactly how to do it, requiring high load factors for the solutions, up to the developers and the owners to figure out whether that's solar, wind, storage, and in what proportion. I think that bidding is quite good, and I think more and higher requirements is the way to go.
Thank you for the questions. We would like to thank moderator and speakers for engaging and insightful contributions during the panel discussion.